Beyond blame. Seeking real causes to reduce violence against women. I want to say something on happenings against the women where women are assaulted and abused and then mercilessly annihilated, however, with my fullest sympathy for the victims, who become the centerpiece of discussions and analysis for sometimes then go into oblivion living behind a burden only for the dear ones. I may be charged with the generalised accusation of victim blaming, but the bottom line should be that, the gruesome things against the women are happening in almost all societies, whether that is strongly law-regulated West or in the belief-driven East. Anyway, these two acts in our society, one is individual's act and another is a crowd social behavior, are not any isolated or any completely unknown or unforeseen acts. These happened earlier, have happened now, and would happen in future too, so long as these happenings are not properly analyzed, root causes are not properly, scientifically, logically, and unemotionally found out, and are not taken steps to reduce such inhuman happenings. Yes, the emphasis is on reductions of such cases, not eradications, which is not possible at all. And we must wholeheartedly accept this bitter truth of these bad acts being completely natural, and the offshot of our naturally being social animals. Before proceeding further on this issue, I must give my view that, happening of such inhuman things are only possible through the Islamic bifurcation of the society into natural divisions of man and woman, and protecting the rights and lives of any particular gender through stringiest of laws. Particularly Nur Muqaddam case, some times ago happened in our society, or for that matter happened in any society, in any country, and in any level of that society. Only Allah Almighty knows how many such gory incidents are happening not only in our society, but in all societies across. Have we forgotten the case of Delhi girl, who was, at least for me, amazingly and sarcastically, named as Nirbhoya, meaning fearless? Anyway, what is the fun in naming such a way, a female who could not survive sexually inflicted gravest injuries on the road of Delhi, and died later on? What this name Nirbhoya could bring to that dead victim, and could also bring other survivors of sexual tortures, or for that matter, for any girls in any society, is completely beyond me. Do we all also remember the Quranic/biblical incident of Kabil, Cain, killing Abel, in very beginning of human life? These killings, homicides, and all other bad things, happened at that time, and would go on happening always, no matter how had, Islamic ordained laws/civil laws, and tazir, criminal laws, are framed and implemented, as long as people would remain political and social animals, and would remain till the day of reckoning. So, no blame game, no overspread allegations on all, that they are victim blamer, and the society would do any good to the society. Coming back to Pakistan, does anyone remember the act of severance of head from the dead body of another Pakistani young woman, an affluent daughter of a Karachi-based affluent retired army officer, working in a private or UN office in Sector F6, or F7 maybe, of Islamabad, by the victim's jilted paramour? That incident was perhaps more gruesome, as the severed head could be finally recovered after many days of search from a few kilometers away in a bush in Sector G8. At that time also, it got so much hype in local print media, as there was no social or electronic media at that time except PBC and PTV, who could never go to such socio-cultural incidences, which was to die down, and died and dried up never to be remembered again. This Nur Muqaddam case, and also this Aisha Akram case, did die down very soon. But have the society, have the pen pushers, journalists, have the camera clickers, SM activists, and have the social thinkers etc., learned anything, or even tried to learn anything, from such happenings, except blaming the authority, blaming the law enforcement agencies, and even blaming the same old our society, and going gaga in self-piety, so much so that, it sounds like the whole society is pariah except the one who is blaming all the other ones, the society at large. Interestingly, when bad things, particularly to women, happen in America, or any other developed countries, the women folks squarely blame their own societies before anything else. Yes, very interesting. But there is no thinking, no observations for why such things happen, and go on happening, but how these could be, particularly the victimizing, violating, torturing to death of women, can be reduced to almost nothing, if not completely eradicating. The women of the society, particularly those who have thinking heads over their shoulders, have to think about the causes and ways of reducing those causes for their own safety and security. There is no fun for them to blame the society as a whole, or the manchauvinism, or blaming all men as predators. After all, they must understand that, if the sun shining outside is really too hot to bear, then it is she or any person to cover herself up, or to take refuge in a cool corner, but not to cover the whole sun up, which is not possible. Similarly, in happening such narrated things, instead of blaming a particular group of people as predators, and making laws to unclaw them totally, which impossible, the reasons for such happenings must be found out. While facing such incidents, one should do good if one remembers the hadith, that if there is only a man and a woman in a lonely place, there is another being, that is the devil itself. And there should be efforts for saving oneself from that devil, which is not very difficult though. In this regard, I would have liked to narrate some stories, or theories, but would avoid to do so, and keep them for other times, not to be taxing on the listeners any more. But I must very briefly allude to those points to make some conclusions here. One is a Czechia movie made in Soviet era, where a distraught man told his grown-up daughter that this world is not for women, which was the title of the movie. The second one is a scenario in a novel written by a Bangladeshi novelist Shaukat Osman, where a young girl was thinking that, there must be someone else within her, who entices other men to violate and or molest her. The third and more scientific one was, as I got from the Reader's Digest some 4 decades ago, in which in one article, 10 steps were surmised for saving children from known/unknown abusers, for the children to follow, and for the parents also to follow to save children from child molestations, as the article was dealing with the grave issue of child abuse at that time in their society. For me, for my Islamic mind, those 10 steps could very aptly be applied for the safety of the girls/women in all the societies. Only the thing is, in those mindsets and the society, a girl is a child only up to the age 18, variedly, the age of being a major, so should be protected by one set of laws, and after attaining the age of majority, after 18, should be protected by another sets of laws. But in our views and practices, a girl child or a boy child is never a child only to be protected by law, but as a man and woman, as they reach puberty, and should be protected through well-meaning social taboos, parental supervisions, and most importantly, under the canonical injunctions of Quran and Sunnah. Only then, a woman can expect to have reduction in chances of her being molested, violated, and abused. Hers being aggressive, assertive, and Amazonian, or having laws enacted to protect her from assault and abuse, cannot protect her from abuses, often harshly, whether she is in Northern Hemisphere or in Southern Hemisphere, or in First World or in Third World. For both children and women of any age, protection could only be availed if Islamic injunctions are truly followed in the light of Hadith.